When you first joined the Division, what were you expecting? I'm sure they told you about the sacrifices you'd make. Things you might have to do one day. But none of us could have ever predicted this.
No, please, Steven. I'm here. Mommy's right here.
So the game starts with this sort of collapse of New York and the spread of a virus that decimates the civilian population. It also causes essential institutions like the police force, the hospitals to collapse completely. And that is where you as a player are activated as a Division agent. The fiction behind the Division is that after a simulation in the States called Dark Winter, which simulated a terrorist chemical attack, and this is a real event, George Bush signed a decree called Directive 51, which gives him executive power, gives the US government executive power to do anything that they see fit to restore government continuity. And in our game, and this is where the fiction starts, that means the creation of a division of agents that are highly trained, highly skilled, and embedded amongst us. So it could be an everyday person. And that's a very big departure from normal Tom Clancy fiction, where usually you're a super soldier or an elite soldier. So you're activated in New York, and your mission is to regain control and take back the city.
People turn away from it and run from it if they can.
I've worked on
And it's hard knowing.
several Clancy games, Splinter Cell, Pandora Tomorrow, Double Agent, Ghost Recon Advanced Warfighter, Advanced Warfighter 2. And there are certain pillars that are really the heart of Clancy. One is realism, plausibility. Could this be in our world? Is it contemporary? Is it something that you can understand and see happening in our world? And that, Dark Winter's proven to us that yes, this is something that could happen. The second is a very clear and present danger. And that's even the name of one of his books and movies. And here, the clear and present danger is this threat that happens after a virus has ravaged the city and the world. And the third thing is this sort of peek behind the scenes of how governments really work. So, getting this information about Dark Winter, Directive 51, and the fiction of, okay, there are agents around us, is all part and parcel of that. So it's a very contemporary take on Tom Clancy and the pillars of Tom Clancy.
Reminder, symptomatic treatment can and should be done initially in the safety of your homes. In the event of pustules, sores, severe or persistent vomiting, or difficulty of breathing.
Outside of the Dark Zone is where a lot of the story content is. This is, all of the main missions, and your objective of taking back New York really takes place.
Hey, here we go.
So you've got your base of operations, which is key to gaining a foothold there, plus these 3 story threads around the virus, around the factions, and around the technology that you need to reacquire to be able to take the city back. And there are, a lot of missions there where you're going to be gaining little puzzle pieces in each story thread, putting them together, and having an overall story told to you. And it's a very different way of telling a story in a complete open world with a non-linear structure. And of course, you don't only have the main missions, you've got side missions, you've got roamers, you've got encounters on the streets with enemy factions, and any of these encounters, any of these activities, you can play by yourself or with a group of 3 other players, so maximum 4 players in a fire team.
A new agent is joining your team.
And all of our encounters scale in terms of number, type of enemy, and difficulty. So you have greater challenges when you're playing 4 people.
Warning, hostile forces approaching.
The dark zone in our game is the heart of the map. This is the center strip of the map. And it's an area that is completely seamless. So you jump over the wall or you go through an airlock and you're in the area where the virus first started. So lore-wise, this is the area where the government tried to keep control of the virus and the outbreak and failed. So they built a wall around it, didn't help. So the military was there and the military was evacuated and left everybody to die. So there's a huge amount of death, there's very little life, there's a lot of military equipment. And that's going to be your motivation to go in there. But it's also the motivation of all of the enemy factions and all of the other players. Best place for the best equipment in the game. Now this is the place where, because of jammers, you're not recognized as a division agent. So you can choose to shoot other division agents and go rogue. And this is a very important feature in the game. So going rogue basically highlights you as an enemy agent to all of the other agents. And you do that if you think that another agent is carrying great equipment. But you're only going to take that risk if you think that they're alone or you can get the upper hand on them, knowing that you're going to be flagged for everybody else on the map. So it's a very atypical PvP enabled area.
You're attacking friendly forces. Rogue protocol initiated.
I approach it, the dark zone, as a single player. I go in there without a team, sneak around, find some enemies, kill the enemies, take their equipment, and extract without warning anybody or making myself visible. So I'm very discreet. I distrust everybody in the dark zone. I don't know anybody, I don't want to play with anybody, I just want to get the good equipment and extract. So that's possible too. One of our big points of pride is this is a classless game. And the classes are actually decided by the type of equipment that you go in to an encounter with. So first off, do you go in with a shotgun? And what does that mean? Or do you go in with a sniper rifle or an assault rifle? And what does that mean in terms of where you're going to be positioned tactically? On top of this, you have the skills, the skill mods, and talents and perks. And all of these are small things that you decide on your character and on your playstyle that really cements the synergies that you'll have with other players. For example, I can be a sniper with a healing skill and be able to cover one of my teammates who'll be a shotgunner with a ballistic shield. So very close quarter combat versus long range healer style play style. And if you're playing solo, you can switch up your weapons and your skills right in the middle of a combat. So, you know, where the game really shines is where you're playing with 2, 3 other people, and each one has a different role and you know where you're playing. But if you want to play by yourself, which usually I do, there's no problem, and it creates a different feeling there too.
Hostiles detected.
Our map is really focused on Midtown Manhattan, and I'm happy to say that we're very accurate. It's not one-to-one, so there's been some streets that have been squeezed, but it's the closest thing to a real representation of New York that I've ever seen in a video game. So it's very, very close. And if you know the city, you'll be able to find a lot of very familiar landmarks. So one of my favorite parts about working on the game was to take an iconic location like Madison and think, okay, architecturally and space-wise, this is a sports arena or a concert hall. So you're going to have this sort of access, and you've got the arena here and the backstage here. And okay, once you've done that, how has this space changed post-pandemic, post-collapse? And taking references from Katrina, for example, you know Katrina, the hurricane. They transformed the Superdome into a shelter and field hospital. So Madison becomes a field hospital. Second layer of information: put hotel beds, isolation rooms, medical equipment, security places, and then third layer: how does it change when you add factions who are trying to take over the place, loot the medical supplies, that type of thing. So it's super fun going into the streets of New York and thinking, okay, what does it look like, and how has this changed since the collapse? So that's, you know, that was something that I really enjoyed. The map is completely unlocked. You can go anywhere, do any activity, go to the last mission of the game. It's going to be super difficult for you, but it's there. It's there for you. Nobody's stopping you from doing that. This is a challenge for several reasons. One, it's completely open, non-linear story, but we still want to tell you a story. So how do we approach that? Two, it's just creating a world where you can go anywhere and there are no blocks for that. The one thing that we do have are safe houses. I don't know if you saw one while you were playing. These are our matchmaking hubs. So you go down there, you'll see other players, and you can choose to matchmake with them if you want, create a group there, and you'll also get missions from that point, side mission content. But all of the other missions are unlocked from the beginning.
We've got a lot of hostiles inside, Agent. They're holding Dr. Candle and her staff. We need those personnel back at the base so we can get the medical wing functional.
This is Snowdrop. So it's a proprietary Ubisoft and developed by Massive. So this is the first big release using Snowdrop, and it's very nice to be working with. It's a great tool. Again, this is my perspective, and if you ask engineers, they'll answer something else. But from my perspective, I've seen artists very quickly create very visually complex environments because all of their tools are very accessible. So it's a very easy engine to use for artists, sound designers, engineers, where everything is very accessible. So it's a great tool for that.
And on your journey, you will find a place beyond those walls. A dark zone where greed and fear corrupts, and no one can be trusted. This fight is only the beginning.